The restaurant was full of soft music, clinking glasses, and quiet laughter, but at one corner table, silence felt heavier than the air itself. A man in an expensive suit sat alone, staring at the empty chair across from him. His watch probably cost more than most people's rent, yet in that moment, he looked like someone who had lost something far more valuable than money. Across the room, a little girl tugged on her father's sleeve and whispered, "Dad, she's not coming, is she?" Two empty chairs. Two broken expectations. And one unexpected moment that would change everything. Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that remind you how powerful kindness can be, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Welcome to Corner of Kind Choices, where small acts of kindness create the biggest changes. Daniel Carter checked his phone again. 7:42 p.m. He had arrived early, he always did. Being a single dad had taught him discipline. Being stood up, well, that was something he was still learning to handle. Across the table sat his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Her bright eyes had slowly dimmed over the past hour. She had been excited to meet someone new, someone her dad had nervously talked about all week. "Maybe she's stuck in traffic," Lily said softly, trying to sound hopeful. Daniel forced a smile. Maybe. But deep down, he knew. This wasn't the first time. Since his wife had passed 3 years ago, Daniel had tried carefully, cautiously to open his life again. But dates often ended before they even began. Some women didn't want the responsibility of a child. Others simply disappeared without explanation. Lily looked down at her untouched plate. "It's okay, Dad. We can just go home." Daniel felt a quiet ache in his chest. Not for himself but for her. At that exact moment, just a few tables away, another man sat alone. Ethan Caldwell. To the outside world, he was a name everyone knew, a billionaire CEO, a business icon, the kind of man whose decisions moved markets. But tonight, none of that mattered. Because Ethan had also been waiting. And like Daniel, he had also been left behind. The woman he was supposed to meet had texted just 10 minutes before the reservation, "Sorry, something came up." No explanation. No apology that meant anything. Ethan stared at his glass of water, untouched. It wasn't the first time, either. People saw his wealth before they saw him. Conversations felt scripted. Smiles felt practiced. And dates? They rarely felt real. For the first time in years, he had hoped tonight would be different. It wasn't. He leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly, when he noticed something. The little girl across the room. She was trying so hard not to cry. And her father was trying even harder to stay strong. Ethan watched as Daniel gently pushed the menu aside and said, "How about we get dessert instead? Just us?" Lily nodded, but her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Something stirred in Ethan, a feeling he hadn't felt in a long time. Not pity. Recognition. Without fully thinking it through, Daniel stood up and walked toward Ethan's table. "Hey," Daniel said quietly, offering a small, understanding smile. "Your blind date didn't show up either." Ethan looked up, surprised. For a moment, the billionaire CEO didn't know what to say. No one ever approached him like that, no hesitation, no agenda. Just honesty. Ethan gave a small nod. "Yeah. Looks like we're in the same situation." Daniel chuckled softly. "Seems like it." There was a brief pause before Daniel added, "Listen. I don't mean to intrude. But my daughter's having a tough time. I was wondering, would you mind joining us? Just for dessert. So she doesn't feel like the only one who got stood up tonight." Ethan blinked. He wasn't used to invitations like this, simple, genuine, with nothing to gain. And yet, something about it felt right. "Sure," Ethan said. When they walked back to the table, Lily looked confused at first. "Lily," Daniel said gently, "this is Ethan. His date didn't show up either." Lily tilted her head, studying him. Then she smiled just a little. "Well," she said, "their loss." Ethan laughed. Not the polite kind of laugh he used in boardrooms, but a real one. "You know," Ethan replied, "I think you might be right." They ordered dessert chocolate cake for Lily, cheesecake for Daniel, and something Ethan didn't even remember choosing. But for the next hour, something unexpected happened. They talked. Not about business. Not about money. Not about success. They talked about life. Lily shared stories about school, her favorite teacher, and how she wanted to be a veterinarian someday. Daniel talked about raising her on his own, the late nights, the small victories, the quiet struggles. And Ethan listened. Really listened. For the first time in years, he wasn't the richest man in the room. He was just Ethan. At one point, Lily looked at him and asked, "Do you have kids?" Ethan hesitated. "No," he said softly. "I always thought I'd have time for that later." Lily nodded, as if she understood more than most children would. "You still have time," she said. Those simple words hit Ethan harder than any business deal ever had. As the night came to an end, Daniel reached for the bill. But before he could, Ethan gently placed his card on the table. "Please," Ethan said. "Let me." Daniel shook his head. "You don't have to." "I know," Ethan replied. "I want to." There was no pride in his voice. No show of wealth. Just gratitude. Outside the restaurant, the cool night air felt different, lighter somehow. Lily hugged Ethan before leaving. "Thank you," she said. "You made tonight better." Ethan smiled. "No. I think you did that." As Daniel and Lily walked away, Ethan stood there for a moment, watching them. Then he did something he rarely did. He felt full. Not from the meal, but from something far more meaningful. A few weeks later, Daniel received a call. At first, he almost didn't answer. It was an unknown number. "Hello. Daniel, it's Ethan." Daniel was surprised. "Hey. Everything okay?" "Yeah," Ethan said. "Actually, I was wondering if you and Lily would like to come by my office sometime. I'd like to show her what I do. And maybe, talk to you about something." "Curious," Daniel agreed. When they arrived, Lily's eyes widened at the tall building, the glass walls, the busy energy inside. But Ethan greeted them like old friends. No assistants. No formalities. Just a genuine smile. After showing Lily around, Ethan sat down with Daniel. "I've been thinking a lot about that night," he said. Daniel nodded. "Me too." Ethan leaned forward slightly. "You told me how hard it's been raising Lily on your own. Balancing work, life, everything." Daniel gave a small shrug. "You do what you have to do." Ethan smiled. "Exactly. And that's why I wanted to ask, would you consider working here?" Daniel blinked. "Here? I need someone I can trust," Ethan continued. "Someone real. Not just another resume. And I think, you'd be perfect." Daniel was speechless. "But more than that," Ethan added, "I want to help. Not as charity. As a chance. Because that night, you gave me something I didn't realize I needed." "What was that?" Daniel asked quietly. Ethan smiled. "A reminder that kindness doesn't care who you are or what you have. It just shows up." Life didn't magically become perfect after that. There were still challenges. Still long days. But something had changed. Daniel had a new opportunity. Lily had someone new in her life who genuinely cared. And Ethan. Ethan had found something money could never buy. Connection. All because one man chose to walk across a room, and say something simple. Your blind date didn't show up either. Sometimes, kindness isn't grand or dramatic. It's not about big gestures or life-changing speeches. Sometimes, it's just about noticing someone else's pain, and choosing to sit beside them. Because in a world where people often walk away, choosing to stay even for a moment can mean everything. And you never know. That small moment of kindness might just change a life. Or maybe even three.